In today's video, I'll show you 3 tips in order to get your motion design into the next level. This will be super simple to apply techniques that will bring your motion design from noob into pro to really impress your clients. So the first tip are gradients. Gone are the days that flat colors ran the world. Gradients add so much life, movement and emotion to your motion design. But here's a secret to get good gradients: subtlety and harmony. So let's start. Let's create a new ellipse, a circle like this. Let's align it, and right away I'm gonna right click on the shape layer 1, layer styles and gradient overlay. So as you can see right now, our circle already has a gradient. Let's make it better. Let's go to the gradient overlay settings, and here on colors, let's click on edit gradient. Right here on the gradient editor, select the first color. I'm gonna use shades of purple, just like this. Now I'm gonna click on the last color stop, color pick the same color but put it way darker, just like this. Now I'm also gonna go here on angle and I'm gonna put it into -45, and as you can see here we have an awesome gradient. Just make it pop a little bit more. Let's create a new adjustment layer, go on effects and presets and search for noise. Drag it into adjustment layer and let's put on 15% and remove the option use color noise. Let's go back to effects and presets and search for deep glow 2. Drag it into the adjustment layer and on exposure I'm gonna put 0.10, and as you can see here, this is the first method of doing an awesome gradient. Let's make things more exciting and let's go to the method 2. So let's go on effects and presets and search for 4 color gradient. Drag it into our shape layer 1, and now let's make sure that all the points of colors are inside the circle. So I'm gonna be a little bit creative with the positioning, something alongside this, and now I'm gonna select my shades of purple as well. So on the first color I'm gonna go to a brighter purple. On this color I'm gonna go to a little bit of a darker tone, no, actually a lighter tone, and then on the last 2 points I'm gonna choose darker colors, just like this. Looks great. So now let's apply the same effects that we did on the latest gradient, but let's go on effects and presets, search for the transition linear white. We drag it into our adjustment layer, transition completion we're gonna put 45, and on angle -45. Feather, let's put it on 500, and as you can see our gradient just looks insane. Let's make it better by going on effects and presets and adding a posterize. Drag it into our adjustment layer and putting a level on 16, and here it is. This gradient looks just insane. And this is the second method, and make sure you use this in your next edit. But we can go a little bit further and go to the third method, that is simply applying on effects and presets a effect called colorama. We drag it into our shape layer 1, and now on output cycle we have a bunch of presets that we can choose from. I'm gonna choose the golden one. I'm also gonna go on blend with original and put on 15%, and as you can see here, this gradient just looks insanely good and just gives a little bit more texture into our gradient as well. And you can choose so many presets from this, for example this deep ocean one, which I find it really cool. So here you have it, 3 methods of doing gradient to make your shape layers and everything in your motion design pop. And with the gradients explained, we go to the second tip, that is composition. So you may not realize, but composition is one of the most important factors in your motion design. It's where people decide that if they like what they're seeing or not. And remember, a good design isn't just what's on it, it's about where it is. Your composition guides the viewer's eyes to tell them what's important to look at. So let's start with the basic rule of thirds. Divide your frame into 9 equal parts, and then align your elements throughout those lines that you just divided. This is just a formula for balance. So let's just say that I want 2 of the shape layers that we just did the gradient on the last step, 1 on the left and 1 on the right. If you divide this scene into the rule of thirds, as you can see here, I'm centered in the middle. I'm occupying the second third vertically of the scene, which grabs your attention into looking at me. Now if we have the shape layers like we mentioned, one is on the first third vertically and the other one is on a third vertically. But let's just say that I just want to do one element. So let's put the rule of thirds and zoom in enough so I can fit in the middle of 2 thirds coming from the left. And as you can see now, on the third I have more than space to put any element that I want. As you can see here, the first gradient that we did on the tip number 1. You can also use the composition called leading lines to direct attention from the viewer. If you got a moving element like a bouncing ball or a zooming arrow, it can guide the viewer's focus into what's important on the scene. So the takeaway? Your composition is like a choreography. Think of it like directing a dance, where every element has its place to be. And finally, we come to the third tip of how to improve your motion design, that is depth. So depth is one of the easiest ways to bring your motion design into wow factors. It creates a sense of realism and immerses your audience into the video. So let me explain you how it works. So in every scene you have 3 parts. You have the background, that we all know how it works. We have the focus point, which is the most important element on a scene, is where you want people to look at. And then we have the foreground, some elements to create realism and depth into the scene. You probably heard before of the technique called parallax. It's super similar to that. So let's put this into practice. Here's the focus point. Let's put a cool background in. And now our foreground. Now let's make it realistic. Depth of field, applying a little blur where it's needed. And now just a camera panning in to our focus point and see how depth transforms a flat design into something that feels alive and engaging. It's all about layering and perspective. And if you're not convinced yet, let me show you the before and after creating depth. And there we have it. This was 3 tips that you can instantly apply into your next video so your motion design goes to the next level. If you are interested on learning more about motion design and the skills that the top editors have, make sure to check out the Editing Nexus, a cool community that teaches you how to be the killer editor and make everyone impressed by your work. Thank you everyone for watching, and see you in the next video.